Arsenal's Far East tour is over, and they're now going to be heading back to the Emirates this week for 2 games against Bilbao and Villarreal. But do we have more questions than answers? Do we have a problem in attack? The general consensus is that Arsenal lack creativity and attacking intent. But why is that? We finally have a striker, as Viktor Gyokeres is now an Arsenal player. What will the Swede bring to the side? We're going to look into that, as well as some of the other transfer goings on in relation to strikers. Are there any more moves left for Arsenal in the transfer market? Will we see Eberechi Eze at Arsenal or any other players? All of this and more on episode 7 of Red Lines and Half Spaces. Welcome to episode 7 of Red Lines Half Spaces. Thank you for your patience. It's been a while, and that is no one else's fault but us. Parenting, family life has completely
just
overtaken
gets in the way.
It really does. Why is this family malarkey, isn't it? But no, it's
scandal.
It's scandal, isn't it? But yeah, we're back again. Hopefully we're going to cover a lot of good Arsenal stuff, and hopefully you will enjoy it. As usual, my co-host, my partner in crime, Joe, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm well, mate. I'm a very tired new father. I am a very stressed potential home buyer.
Oh, yes.
But other than that, mate, we're all good. It's just very, very hectic in the household at the moment, but everything's going very well.
House kids,
change it to the world.
House kids. You're turning into a proper adult now, aren't you?
When did this happen? You know what? I would like to extend an apology to all of the parents out there that I know that I have slated over the years for their lack of availability, their lack of response via telephone or text message. I have spoken out of turn. I am now in your situation, and I completely appreciate you have no time for anything anymore. So
and no sleep at all. So if you want to do anything, you want to sleep, because that's what
honestly, heartfelt apologies to everyone out there I've ever criticised.
Oh, well, I'm sure the parenting world thanks you, Joe. Joe, we're going to cover a couple of topics here. We're going to discuss our Far East tour, which is now over. The lads are back now in London with the 2 Emirates Cup games against Villarreal and Bilbao this week. So we're going to look into that. We're going to look at some of the questions that have come out of the tour, including, unfortunately, a question around our creativity and our attack. Particularly with the Tottenham game, there was concerns and, a lot of voices around our attack. We're also going to look at the striker situation. So we actually do finally have a striker. It's amazing. So Viktor Gyokeres has signed for Arsenal. We're going to look at the Swede. We're also going to talk a little bit about the current striker situation, because obviously what's happened now is that there's a bit of a merry-go-round going on with Alexander Isak's situation at Newcastle, kind of having this domino effect against Benjamin Šeško and Ollie Watkins as well. So I'd love to get your views on that. And then finally, we're going to talk about any of our potential other moves. So we've been linked with Yeamin from Stade Reims. We've also got obviously the move for Eberechi Eze. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that. So let's dive in. Joe, we've now finished our Far East tour. The boys had, I would say, a decent tour out in the Far East. My only, we're going to go through the games individually, but how would you sum up the tour for you personally in terms of 3 games? Newcastle, we had Milan, Newcastle, Tottenham. For me personally, I don't like these kind of tours where we're having these preseason games where we have a very physical and very overexerting games, because preseason for me is more about experimentation and building up fitness. But it just felt during this preseason, apart from the Milan game, that the Tottenham and Newcastle game were overly physical, not necessarily by us, but by our opponents who were trying to show what they could do against one of the top teams. I mean, what's your opinion on these kind of all Premier League clashes?
I don't like them personally. I completely understand why the club will do them, like the Arsenal-Tottenham thing. It completely makes sense to give people or fans who live on that side of the world, who realistically are never going to have the chance to see an Arsenal-Tottenham game. For them, amazing to be able to see Arsenal versus Tottenham out on that part of the world. It's never been done before. So I completely get it from a fan perspective for like to open that opportunity up to the fan base. But for, we're a bit spoiled, aren't we, as season ticket holders? We see Arsenal Tottenham every year. So yeah, I mean, I've got no interest in seeing Arsenal play English teams in pre-season. I'd much rather. I used to quite like sort of seeing the random teams we'd welcome along to the Emirates Cup, or when we'd go out and play like Borussia Mönchengladbach and teams like that. Just sort of just a bit different, isn't it? It's something a bit of a change, and like you said, it gives us a bit of an opportunity to. Respectfully, we're playing against a level of opposition where we're going to have a lot of the ball, so it'll give us a chance to work on a few sort of tactical things, patterns of play, whatever we're doing. But yeah, you've nailed it really well, Yeamin. But playing Newcastle and Tottenham, you're playing against two teams who are, well, Newcastle are a renowned physical team anyway, and Tottenham, a game against Arsenal and Tottenham is always going to have a physical element. So yeah, a bit strange. Could it be a Mikel Arteta thing, wanting a bit more of a test in pre-season, something like that? I don't know whether he'd have that sort of sway over the
I
club
don't.
or whether it's just a commercial thing. I'm not entirely sure, mate.
I get the feeling Mikel is not that kind of person. I think this is driven purely by finances. I mean, it is big money now to go out to the Far East, to America, to play these big games. And the bigger the game, the better the bigger the audience. And I will say the amount of fans at the Arsenal Tottenham game was insane. And I can't speak highly enough of our international fan base. I always am really impressed by our international fan base, how much they support the team, even though it's not in their country. It's not, their team, if they call it that, their local team. It's a team that's halfway across the world, but yet they have that same connection that we do. And any person here who says, "Oh, you're not local, you don't understand what it is," I think that's really silly. These
Yeah,
are
it's
people.
incredible. Was there like 50? Was it like 55,000 for just a training session or something?
55,000.
I mean,
It's
that's
incredible that.
unbelievable.
And they were just as loud as we were. In fact, more so. During North London Forever, I thought it was one of the loudest renditions I've heard, because they are, it's their first time. It's like kind of like the first time you go to see Arsenal. I know it's for us old men. We go there and we're like, oh well, we've been here before like 2,000 times, so we're all right with it.
Very blasé about it. Yeah.
We're very blasé. But when when you're going for your first time, or you've seen them the first time, I can imagine, it must be amazing. And you just, because you don't see it so much, you're so much more invested in terms of, I want to get involved and all this. And that noise really came through. So, I mean, for the fan base, I totally get it. I think in terms of the games themselves, as you said, Joe, it's not ideal. And I don't think we should, given the exertions by the players and potential injuries, which could have been, it wasn't necessarily my preferred preseason tour. But I digress. Again, we've played these games and it's done now. We're back in the UK. I want to cover the games themselves. So let's start with Milan. 1-0 to Arsenal. I would say this is the actual very much the preseason friendly, in terms of a very not easy Ozy pace, but you weren't at full tilt, clearly. And also it was our first preseason game. And second, actually, there was a behind closed doors friendly against Watford, as we usually do. But it was, it wasn't anything too special. I think we defended well. We moved the ball well. We had a lot of the ball. And obviously, we get the goal. But there wasn't anything to glean from it necessarily, apart from one big piece. And I'll ask your opinion on this, is obviously Max Dowman, whose reputation has soared since the preseason tour. So let's cover a few things, Joe. How did you view the Milan game, first of all?
Yeah, sort of what I'd expect from the first preseason game. Sort of everyone kind of getting a feel for the game again, weren't they? Everyone sort of working their way back. Like you said, mate, the big takeaway from that game was just how good Max Dowman was, and how ready he looked in that environment as a 15-year-old. It's quite scary. But no, I mean, what was it? Saka scored, didn't he? So 1-0.
Coming at the back post. I think
it's a ball from Kivior.
It was.
Really nice cross from him. I think we deserved to win the game. I think we sort of defensively, we looked brilliant. Milan didn't really do anything considering they went and put 4+ Liverpool a few days later. I know it's pre-season, but I mean that shows how good defensively we were. I think we probably would have liked to score a few more, but no, good run out. No physicality, if you like, in that one. It was quite a nice pre-season first one. Yeah, good little run out for the team, and good to see everyone getting some minutes as well.
Then we come to Newcastle, and that definitely was physical. Didn't expect anything else, but we won 3-2. Did go down. We did concede a couple of goals, and I think a couple of them were avoidable. But again, the big talking point from this one is Max Dowman, because the way he just and we're going to summarize Max Dowman, towards the end of this, but again, he's created the opportunity and he got the penalty, the last penalty. But generally, this game was again what we expected from Newcastle. Very physical. They lack Alexander Isak, so I don't think they were as much of an attacking threat as we expected them to. But I think we made a couple of silly errors as to be expected in pre-season. And again, we scored 3, but I don't think we were very good in terms of the attack. What would you say, Joe?
No, I agree, mate. Again, just very stodgy, aren't we? Sort of attacking wise at the moment, which is a shame. Obviously, we've been spoiled for years with fast flowing, attacking football, very creative. But I don't know, at the moment, we just don't seem to have that kind of. There's no real spark in this team. It's all very, like we've said before on previous podcasts, it's all very rigid. It's all very kind of everything's. It almost feels like our attacking play is as organised as our defensive play, which I don't really like. Don't get me wrong, I love having an organised defence, but it should be the opposite. I think your defence should be organised and your attack should be just free flowing. And don't get me wrong, I know you have your patterns of play and your certain sort of scenarios that you try and build to obviously break opposition down, but I feel we've moved away from what I really like in the attack team is that sort of creative sort of flair and that unpredictability. And I know we're going to touch on sort of our attacking sort of play a bit later on, so I won't go into too much, but I would like to try and see a bit more of that back this year. And hopefully with a couple of the sign-ins, people like Max Dowman, Ethan being another year older, more experienced, hopefully we get a little bit more of that this year, because I think that will propel us onto another level.
No, it's a fair point. I mean, again, Mikel Merino gets the first goal. An own goal and a penalty. Again, Marino's goal was very well taken. I thought it was a very good goal. He does seem to do well at crashing the box. For he's not a centre forward. He's not a midfielder. He's that kind of in between. He feels like a Kai Havertz type, just slightly different, but they play in the same position. And then obviously, it was an own goal, and then Martin Odegaard, but they scored through Anthony Elanga and Jacob Murphy. And again, it's that pace, isn't it, on the break? There's still a struggle with, that pace that Newcastle have on the break, because Newcastle, they do what they say on the tin. They're just going to get it quickly to their wingers and let them have at it in the centre. The only difference is obviously Alexander Isak's not there at the moment, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But yeah, again, this is a game I could have done without in terms of physicality. I think we lost Calafiori here, didn't we, as well, after 45 minutes again. So I don't think it's a long-term injury, but it's just concerning that this wasn't necessary in pre-season. So, a bit disappointing. The last game is the North London derby. We lose that 1-0. This is a catalogue of errors from a number of different sources. So again, the atmosphere, fantastic. They get the goal through a bit of a mistake by David Raya. The referee did not spot a foul on Miles Lewis-Skelly, but from Richarlison. And then they break up the field and they obviously score. Joe, what did you make of the North London derby? And who was to blame for the goal? Let talk about the game and then talk about the goal itself.
I know it's only pre-season, but the game itself, for me, I was really disappointed in our performance. I've seen a lot of sort of other fan channels, if you like, going very ham, if you like, on this subject and build up as the end of the world, which is what some of them like to do. But I, I just would have liked to seen us do more. I don't know whether we was tired, which would be a bit of a worry for me if it was only the third sort of game. But no, we just didn't have a lot about us. We didn't really create anything. A big concern for me was how vulnerable we looked from corners. Every time
Yeah,
Spurs
I
took a
noticed that
corner,
as well. That every corner we looked really vulnerable, considering that
they
we're
hit the
only
post twice from corners, like one after the
yeah.
other.
And also as well, it was just the lack of organization. Considering that we've been, previously very good at set pieces, it's worrying that towards the end of last season and the start of this, we're still conceding these kind of easy chances where if they'd got a touch, they could have easily got, these goals. And we're only missing one player who would necessarily fit in at that back line, which is Gabriel. Big
Yeah.
miss, yes, but
It's a bit of a
if it,
concern, isn't it, that just one player seems to make that much difference?
yeah, it
I mean,
can't
there's
be.
probably more to it than that, but it seems like without Gabriel, I mean, you could go back as far as sort of the games against, was it Bournemouth last year when he wasn't playing? And they scored from a long throw and things. It seems like since Gabriel went out of the team, we just don't seem to have that kind of
Yeah,
authority, organisation, just real
and I
sort
know
of basic things.
Kivior is not necessarily the authoritative in the air figure that Gabriel is. That's one of his lesser areas. But you still wouldn't think that it would be that bad in terms of what swapping in one out, that it would be this bad that you'd lose all your cohesion in terms of defensive
You just wonder
stability.
whether it's because they say that Saliba's the more sort of reserved of the two, isn't he?
Yeah.
So you just wonder if, well, clearly Saliba probably needs to kind of take on the Gabriel role, if you like, as the other experienced centre half. It's a shame because I thought Calafiori in that first half against Newcastle was brilliant at centre back.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, really good. Really helped with the build up. Looked solid defensively as well. And obviously he's not the quickest, so at centre half, I think he looks better than he does at left back.
I agree with you. I think centre half is his position in the long term, but the problem is he keeps getting injured. I mean,
well, this is the thing, isn't it? If he can't last more than a few games, then what's the point of having it, really?
That's what Kivior has excelled in, isn't it? He's been, available, and that's what I always say, that your durability is your best strength in terms of if you're available, you're going to play, and that's the problem. Calafiori, I don't think anyone has any doubt he's a top level player when he's fit, but that's very rare, and it seems again he's getting these niggly injuries that compound his availability. So hopefully he gets a run of games, because I think, as you said, he's very good. And in the air, he's very good as well. So we haven't really had that opportunity to see him play.
No. As well, yeah. What did you think? For me, I feel like at the moment, we can't strike a ball properly. It seems like against Newcastle, I know Marino took his goal really well. The Dowman run for the penalty, brilliant. But against Newcastle and against Spurs, a lot of the time we're getting balls kind of on the edge of the 18 yards just inside. And the amount of times that we shoot and the ball just dribbles through to the goalkeeper. Havertz does it all the time. He'll have half a chance. He'll get half a yard. And then we just don't ever seem to strike a ball cleanly at the moment. I don't know whether it's just something I've picked up on, but I feel like in both the games, like Zubamendi, I remember shanked one. Odegaard had a couple of good ones, but again, he's another one who likes to sort of miss hit a shot. Havertz, I don't know, is this something?
Well, why don't we take this into the broader discussion which we're going to have, which is about our attack and our creativity. So I agree with you, Joe. I do see our ball striking as one of the biggest problem issues. And I think I can't put my finger on it, because if you look at it, Martin Odegaard had 15 goals in a couple of seasons ago, and there were some quality strikes in there. Havertz can do it, but he seems to be really inconsistent, and you can't tell which Havertz you're going to get when he's in front of goal. Is it the one that shanks the shots or dribbles through, or the one where he cleanly strikes it and it goes in the bottom corner? I honestly don't know. Martinelli, we know, has got a good shot. Trossard, we know, has got a good shot. But I think teams are also wise to us in terms of they pack the centre areas so much because they know we'll kick it out wide to Saka and Martinelli, and then we'll try to cross it in. There's no real there wasn't any presence in the box to destabilize the defense. Now, that obviously changes because Viktor Gyokeres is not going to drop deep, we hope, and he will occupy the center. He also can strike a ball. We've seen that already. He can strike a ball. But again, I do agree with you. There is a lack of effectiveness in the attack in terms of our ball striking. And there's also this discouragement to strike a ball from distance, to have a go. And
Although I did pick up on, I think Odegaard, he seems to be taking a lot more shots from outside the box
yeah, and I
in
don't
the
mind. I don't mind that
Spurs
at all.
side. I think in the Milan game and Newcastle game,
Hmm.
he was having a lot more efforts from that sort of 20, 25 yards. I mean, none of them sort of were ever going to go in, but
No, but
hitting
you
the
have to
target
do.
and he's hitting it, striking the ball nice as well. So
Yeah, and
it was good to
I
see.
don't mind that at all. I don't think that's a good thing. I think
Yeah,
we're scared. Do you remember
yeah.
in the Wenger era, we used to be scared of striking the ball from long range. You had to get the perfect goal, and I think Arteta's still like that
We
a
wouldn't
little bit.
shoot from further out than 8 yards, would we?
Yeah, exactly. We need to be better than that. And, you know, back to Gyokeres again. The hope is he will strike from further out because he's got a very, very good shot on him. That's one of the biggest strengths of his. Yeah, it's a little concerning because those strikes and the effectiveness on them are what destabilize defenses. They're the ones that say, well, Arsenal easy touches, aren't they? Right now, it is easy, isn't it, for them to say, look, Havertz is not really going to strike a ball from 30 yards out and cause us a problem. Viktor Gyokeres might, because he's got a reputation for it. But if you're going up against Kai Havertz, you're kind of going, well, he may do something good, but he may not, because half the time he doesn't. It's so inconsistent. So that's part of the problem I see as well. And it is really concerning because I hope we see in the next couple of games with Noni Madueke and a few more coming that we do start to have a bit more about us in the ball striking, because we need it definitely. But as well, Joe, let's talk about, we are still, I still get the feeling we're very much a horseshoe team, i.e. that we've come up against two low blocks. We've come up against Newcastle and Tottenham. Milan, I think, were okay defensively, but they didn't pack the box. They weren't parking the bus. Newcastle certainly did, and Tottenham certainly did. And it makes it awkward for us. But then when we get up against these low blocks, we struggle, don't we, around breaking them down. Why is that, Joe? What are we lacking? Because we've got Martin Odegaard, Gabriel Martinelli or Leandro Trossard and Saka in these games. We'll talk about the additions and how they change that. But what is it why did we struggle so much at the end of last season, and it looks like it's translating into the start of this season? And is it a concern?
It is a concern, but I think, weirdly, I think it's an easy fix, but I don't think it's a fix that will necessarily make, weirdly. So I think the problem is, if you look at our team, on our right-hand side, we have a left-footed player, and predominantly left-footed players, Odegaard, Saka. And on the right-hand side, obviously we've got Martinelli, who's predominantly right-footed, and Declan Rice, who's predominantly right-footed. So straight away, you're narrowing your pitch immediately, because your players obviously always want to come onto their stronger foot. So Martinelli's instinct is always to sort of drift infield.
Yeah.
Declan Rice, whenever he's sort of looking to pass, he's always sort of inside. And the same with Odegaard and Saka. They're always looking to sort of come into those sort of inner channels, if you like. So I think what I would like to see is maybe every now and again put Odegaard on the left, sort of the left 8, and Rice as the right 8, and maybe mix it up. Maybe put Madueke on the sort of left wing rather than being a Saka backup, and try and do that a bit more, because I feel like Ben White does it brilliantly. He gets round Saka and creates that bit of space for him when he is doubled up on, that allows him a bit more space. But obviously Lewis Skelly, very different fullback. He's not one who's going to get down the outside of Martinelli. Obviously likes to come inside and sort of play in those middle areas as well, which again adds to the kind of congestion and the sort of U-shaped debacle, we'll call it, if you like, when it goes.
The U-shaped debacle. I think I'm going to name that, put that in the title of the podcast for this one.
But I think if you was to put a Madueke, for example, on the left-hand side, I've not seen a lot of him there, I'll be honest, but I just feel like with a naturally left-footed winger, straight away his preference would be to beat his man on the outside, because then you're on your stronger left foot. And straight away that then forces your opposition defence to spread across the pitch a bit more, because they know then that they've got a problem down the outside. Whereas I think a lot of the time, even sort of when Rice kind of does the underlap, it's sort of running inside of Martinelli. Martinelli's trying to come into that area as well, and he just gets very busy in there. So I would like to see us just try and stretch the pitch and open up a bit more. I can't for 1 second see Arteta moving Odegaard just over to the left, even though it seems like a really simple, basic thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I think he's kind of got that triangle with Saka and White on the right hand side. But I think, yeah, I think because of the players we have, it just, that's what it kind of, I mean, it works brilliantly in 7 out of 10 games, would you say?
Yeah,
But
about so. But when we come against mid blocks, that's where we seem to struggle, don't we? Mid block and low block, we will always struggle. And I take your point is very valid about the imbalance of our team, right? Very right hand centric.
Mm,
And it seems that we don't, and Odegaard especially is very guilty of this. He sticks to the right hand side. I don't know if there's an Arteta thing, but Martin Odegaard is good enough to occupy those three areas, if you call it, his line effectively,
mm,
and occupy the central areas. Because again, we don't have any central penetration either, do we? It's all very right centric and hit
yeah.
it to Saka and hope for the best. Let him cross it in.
Yeah, the other thing as well is obviously when we've been playing, another point that hopefully Gyökeres will change for us is that when we've been playing either Havertz, Jesus when he's been fit, Trossard when he's had to do it, all of them or all of their instincts, if you like, are to move towards the ball. All of them want to come and link up play. All of them want to get involved in the build up. Whereas Gyökeres, hopefully, from what we know of him, will do the complete opposite and hopefully will play on the shoulder, hopefully stretch defences a bit more, sort of make the use of the channels that are there that Odegaard can hopefully
Yeah.
feed the ball into. The only thing that sort of linking back into preseason, the only thing that worried me a little bit, Yem, is I know Gyökeres wasn't playing. He only played about 15 minutes, didn't he?
Yeah.
But again, Odegaard and even Martinelli, they're just very slow to release the ball. There's a lot of. There was a Max Dowman. I know we don't want to go sort of too over the top with him, but there was a moment in the Newcastle game. Max Dowman picked it up, drove at the defence, won the penalty. And then towards the end of the game, Martinelli picked up the ball, similar position on the other side of the pitch, and just didn't go anywhere. And it really struck me the difference in how Dowman, when he picked the ball up, and his kind of drive forward, and how you could tell the only thing in his mind was, right, I'm going to beat my man and get to the box. Whereas Martinelli picked the ball up and just sort of stood on it, took a little couple of touches, and then rolled it inside when he had like space to run into.
I've always had this argument with Martinelli that he's not a touchline winger. He's an inside forward to me. He's someone who needs the ball in behind to allow him to run on and use what his best skill is, which is his pace and his finishing ability. But I don't think we use that enough. Look at the Madrid game. The Madrid game was perfect for him because Madrid opened up massively and there was the space there and he managed to run in and shoot. And I think Viktor Gyokeres kind of would help that. So looking at what he does in that he'll open up that left space and allow Martinelli to move centrally. The problem I also see with Martin Odegaard is that, to your point, Joe, he holds the ball a lot longer than needs to be. He's not very rapid with his releases. He's always looking for when the runner is going to go and where's the safe option rather than he doesn't want to play risky passes or he's been told not to. And that's a little concerning in that if he's our chief creator and plays these safe options, it will always be the same. Pass it to Saka, wait for a minute, come back, pass it to Ben White, pass it out. Where is the ball in behind? Where is the creativity? Where is the runs? What happens when we do have a quick transition? How do we play it? Because it seems like it's very slow to move even upfield. And maybe Gyökeres and Madueke changed that. But at the moment, it just...
Like, to the point that you're making as well, you would want sort of 85% plus pass completion rate for a Zubamendi, who's sitting in the deep and trying to sort of dictate things and knit everything together, get us going. But I know we call him a sort of a writer, but I've seen more as like a number 10 Odegaard. From that sort of position, I couldn't give a damn about pass completion rates. Yeah. If you attempt 10 passes and you only complete 2 of them, but there's 2 assists, happy days. There's a 20% pass completion rate. But in that position, I feel like you've got to take more risks. I don't want my number 10 playing safe. I don't want my chief creator just keeping things ticking and getting his pass stats high. I've got no interest in that.
Yeah.
I think in that position, you have to be a risk taker. And yes, it might make your stats look poor or whatever, but come the end of the season, if you've got a pass completion rate of about 60%, but you're looking at double figures for assists and double figures for goals, then who's really going to care?
Yeah, and it's a good point because Martin Odegaard, we know can do it. He's scored 15 goals in, 2 seasons ago.
Mhm.
But there does seem to be this kind of hesitancy with him about playing these risky balls or being creative. It's more now the safe option, come inside and pass it off, make sure you get your pass away. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. I mean, we've only got 2 more games before the season starts in earnest. In terms of our attack, the horseshoe, the U-shaped graveyard, as we call it. Obviously, we've got a couple of players coming in Zubamendi, Gyokeres. We only saw 15 minutes of Gyokeres, and he only had one training session, so I can't judge it on that. And then you've obviously got Madueke on the other side. Do those 3 players change the potential of that attack? Because obviously, as you said, Madueke is left-footed, but is he going to play on that left wing position like a Rafinha, for example? Zubamendi obviously is supposed to be the one at the base of at the 6, and should in theory release the ball quicker and allow Martin Odegaard not to be so deep. And then Viktor Gyokeres, as you said, Joe, should be playing on the last shoulder and really, looking to drive at defenses and destabilize them. Do those 3 players alone change the attack, or do you still see this rut occurring? Because it is concerning for the start of the season, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, I think it's all going to come down to Arteta, isn't it? I mean, it all depends on how he coaches these players and what he wants from them. Because essentially, we could buy anyone really, but if they are coached a certain way, and Mikel Arteta says, "No, I don't want you to do that. You have to fit into our system, and we are playing this way," then we'll have that problem forever. But Arteta, I think he did mention, it might have been after the Spurs game. I think he alluded to the fact that there wasn't a spark there, and he said that we're missing that. So that gives me a little bit of hope that he's kind of seeing what we're seeing. I hope,
But he
because
said that before, and I mean, it's pretty obvious. Last season, for the half season, it's been actually for the whole season. Actually, it was pretty obvious that we lacked creativity, whether it was Martin Odegaard's injury or not. But we were very predictable, weren't we?
yeah, I mean, I think that is the thing, isn't it? We are very predictable, but I think it all depends how he's going to use Madueke. I still don't know what he's going to do. I don't know whether Madueke is coming in to be a Saka backup or a second choice on the right hand side, or whether he's coming in to potentially take Martinelli's position and Trossard goes out. I don't know what we're going to do there. It'll be very interesting to see in the next 2 games. I think he's come back now and he's training.
He's training now, so you'd assume he'll get minutes in the games in the 2 games coming up.
Bilbao and Villarreal, is it?
Bilbao and Villarreal. So I expect to see him.
It'll be really interesting to watch those games to see how
where he plays,
see how he's used and see what he does. It'll be really interesting. I think Zubamendi looked good in the preseason games. There was definitely more kind of punch to his passes, which I quite like. There was nothing sort of rolled side to side. Everything was kind of punched in at pace, and I like
forward. It was forward thinking. It was not side to side.
Yeah, there was, even when we picked up the ball on the edge of the box a few times. A lot of the time, obviously, we see it rotated out to Ben White, Saka back to Ben White, back round the other side like Lewis Kelly, and that's Martinelli. But what I liked is on a few occasions when Zubamendi got the ball, is he looked to try and put something through into the box. It might not have come off, but he was always looking to try and thread something in that central area, and the pass had a bit of intent on it, and I like that. I like it when you see a player punch a pass in. It shows they've got a bit of confidence in what they're doing. So, I mean, I don't think it'll be night and day, the change. I don't think we're suddenly going to be this amazing sort of fluid side who are just completely unpredictable, like the Harlem Globetrotters. I don't think that's going to be the case. But hopefully, I think Gyokeres will be a big one. I think him on the shoulder, and like we discussed before, having a striker who knows how to play that position and his first thought was to score goals. I mean, his interview when on Arsenal.com, I think one of them was, would you rather score a last-minute winner or be a hat-trick hero? And in true striker fashion, he said, I want to be a hat-trick hero. So I love that.
I like his mindset.
That's exactly what we need, because we've got so many players who would be oh, the
Mm.
team comes first, whatever, I'll do whatever it takes for the
Nah,
team. He's like,
he's got the
no,
mentality, and
I'm
we're going to talk about Viktor Gyokeres in a second. The other subject I wanted to touch upon, because obviously our attack is a concern, but there was a real bright spark during the tour, which was Max Dowman, and we covered him a few minutes ago. But I wanted to talk in earnest about him because there is a big noise around him now. We all knew that he had the potential to be very special, but on the tour against all three opponents, I thought, wow, this kid has got it. He's got something. Ethan Wanieri was good, and there are bits and pieces of his game that he needs work on. But I haven't seen a youngster who looked as mature and had so much about him as. And I'm again, this is just me again. Since Lionel Messi, in terms of what he can offer and what he's doing at this stage at 15 years old. And again, there's a lot of development to go within his career, and there's a lot of twists and turns. But his potential is scary, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, I think the thing, like, when he came into the games, to think he's 15, it's just mad. Like, because he just looks so comfortable. And I mean, Joe Linton is not a small sort of, he's not a small bloke. He's very experienced, very hardened to the Premier League. And the way Dowman was able to sort of physically sort of go up against him was so impressive. Like I said, as a 15-year-old, it's just crazy. So no, it's really exciting, mate. And it's difficult, isn't it? Because I've seen kind of like the debate over sort of people saying, "Oh, how many minutes do you think he'll get this year? What sort of involvement do you think he'll have?" Like,
Well, how many
some
minutes
people
do you
are
think
saying,
he'll get this year? Where do you think he'll get his minutes? I don't
honestly,
think.
I don't know. Is the answer? Yeah, I think predominantly, I think we'll see him sort of League Cup teams, FA Cup opening rounds, maybe sort of a few dead rubber Champions League games if we have any of them.
He can't play
Uh,
till December. He can't play Champions League till December. That's the UEFA rules won't allow him until he's 16. So it's crazy, isn't it?
so I mean, yeah, but by that time they'd kind of be dead rubber games
Yeah.
anyway, wouldn't they? So, will he be a regular on the bench in the Premier League?
I think he
I
will.
don't, I don't
I
know.
think he will. I think he will. I think he'll be a regular on the bench. I don't think he'll get, and I think he'll get more
Yeah,
minutes than Ethan did at 15 because I think Ethan only
yeah,
got one game.
yeah.
But I think he'll get more games, but I don't think he will get. I can't see him in the Premier League big top 6 games. I think that's just too much of a pressure to put on a youngster his age to expect
But
that much of him.
I I agree, but the pressure and expectation would be huge on him. But do you think he would eat it up? Because for some reason, looking at him, he doesn't look like he's going to crumble under that pressure. I know we've only got a small sample size to go on, but to me, he just looks like he looks
Yeah,
hungry. He looks ready. It's just crazy. Like, I don't get me
it's.
wrong. I don't think we'll see him. I mean, or could we? Could we see him off the bench at Old Trafford if we need a goal or if we're sort of a couple of goals ahead?
I mean, again, if you look at our
Judging by
wing options,
pre-season, like he's been one of our better attacking players.
it's 50-50, isn't it? Because you'd say that he needs more time at his level. He's not even he's playing at under 21 level effectively at the moment, and he's a 15-year-old. I think he might actually get on the bench. Actually, I'm thinking if you're looking for a spark, there are very few players in our squad who will offer that off the bench. Madueke may be one, but he may even start the game, to be honest, depending on it.
This is
He,
it, mate. Like, I'm not being funny. If you look at the pre-season games we've had so far, you'd argue that Dowman was one of our most dangerous looking attacking players.
yeah,
So if we take age out, because they say if you're
if you're good enough,
ready,
you're old enough.
you're ready. Like,
Yeah.
if you take that out of it, then you would think that he would feature at Old Trafford because he's been one of our brightest looking attacking players.
You would look, given
But
his preseason performance, you'd say he deserves a first team squad place
yeah, absolutely.
because there's a lot of development to manage here because you don't want to overpressure him. I think we are going to see him on the bench more often than not because I think his pathway has been very clearly mapped out for him in terms of you are going to get this, this, and this.
Do you think it'll be a case of we'll see him? I know we've got quite a difficult start, but we'll see him sort of on the bench, maybe sort of coming on in games sort of early on in the season, and then it'll almost be like he'll go in the League Cup, but then he might disappear for a little bit, and he'll go and
I
play for 21s
It
and
could
sort of
be.
that kind of.
the risk here is that he will what will happen to Ethan will happen to him unless he's like a freak athlete like Amal, in that physically the Premier League games are a different
Yeah,
level. You
yeah.
look what Ethan now looks much more. He's bulked up a bit. Howman won't bulk up yet because he
No,
hasn't got
got a while yet, bless him. But
he can't, bless him. He can barely get a moustache going at the moment.
he's got to hit puberty first, but once we get there, mate, he'll be a monster.
Exactly. So, maybe at 16, he'll be like, oh, hello there. It'll be like, William Saliba. When you hear William Saliba, you're like, whoa, dude.
The deepest voice in the world.
Yeah, can you imagine that? His voice breaks properly. Yeah, I was really good on the pitch today. So I think physically he will, there's some work that needs to go on, and you can't force it, because if you look at like someone like Emile Smith-Rowe, who unfortunately went through development and then injuries took their toll. It's a hard one. Look at Michael Owen. Michael Owen was a phenomenal player. Jack Wilshere. You don't want this to. Arteta has a responsibility to manage him carefully. I know people are clamoring for him to play every game, but you can't do that, and you have to assess him against kind of physically, how tired is he? What can he do? Lamine Yamal was playing at 15, but he was a freak athlete. And no offense to the Spanish league, but the Spanish league is nowhere near the level every week that the Premier League is. So we wait and see. I think he'll be managed correctly. I trust Arteta, but he's got plenty of competition. I mean, you've got Erdegaard, Wanieri's got to prove himself there now this season. You assume he's going to be there because he signed a new deal, and then you've obviously got Dauman. But Dauman, I think, will play more towards
Wanieri in pre-season. I know he didn't sort of get an assist or a goal or anything, but I think he put in much more solid performances. I think previously, when I'd seen him last year, he was very up and down.
Yeah.
He'd try and dribble and give the ball away, or he'd choose the wrong pass.
I think he's more of a...
games, he looks very solid as a number 10, and I think that's a little bit of a step up from where he was last year.
He looks a different number 10 to Erdegaard in that he's not going to be giving and go, passing and looking for the creativity ball. He's much more of a quick passes around the wall, get in the box and take a shot, because he's got a phenomenal shot and he's got a little trick here or there. I'm interested to see how Arteta uses him in that number 10, because apparently he's been promised the number 10, number 8/10. But I do agree, he looks more consistent. He does need to do it more in games, because last season he got lost quite easily, and he needs to show more this season, because for his development, if he wants to stay in that number 10 position, he's got to prove it there, and he's got to prove it pretty quickly. Yeah. This is not the year where he'll be just using the League Cup, etc. He'll be there much more, because you can't put the onus on Martin Erdegaard in every game now. We've got to avoid burnout. Joe, let's go away from the Far East and our team, and let's look at a few bits and pieces in the news. We finally have a striker. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. After what? 8 years, is it? 8 years since Aubameyang?
God, please don't tell me it's been that long. You're making us feel really,
8
really
years,
old.
I think it is, since Aubameyang signed. We actually have a striker in Viktor Gyokeres. This one had dragged. I mean, we covered it in previous podcasts in that he was due to sign, etc. But we finally have him. As we talked about, he's got the mindset certainly to be one of the best, and apparently from the coaches, the word is that his attitude is nothing but impressing them. But I wanted to wrap this conversation. We're going to look at Gyokeres as well, but I want to wrap this conversation around the striker market as it is, because we have got Alexander Isak from Newcastle is putting up a stinker because he wants to move to Liverpool. Sorry, Liverpool have made their apparently only offer of 110 million, which I think is quite disingenuous to a player of Isak's ability and to Newcastle. You then have, if Isak goes, Newcastle are looking at a striker, and the striker they're looking at is one we've looked at as well in Benjamin Sesko. But the other problem with Benjamin Sesko is the same wall that Arsenal hit, in that RB Leipzig and his agents have asked for an insane amount of money for the profile, about 90 million euros plus add-ons. And then you have Man United in the mix, who apparently have money to spare, although they spent 130 million already. So I don't know how that's going to do it, unless they close the cafeteria or something like that. But they're looking to buy Benjamin Sesko as well. So, Joe, look, the strike, I think, let's start with this point. I think Andre Berger has done very well here and showed his experience by not going all out for Benjamin Sesko, because I just think the noise and the problems that are coming out, in that it wasn't just Arsenal, it's for every team apparently. the agents, the club are making it entirely difficult to do a reasonable deal because they want to take. We wanted to take him. There's no secret about that. But you have to look at the facts and figures and the profile, and it just didn't fit, did it? So, how do you feel that now the Viktor Gyokeres deal has been done for about 60 odd million plus add-ons euros? Sorry, um, I think we got really good value for a striker, don't you, Joe?
Yeah, well, all that news and sort of stuff around Sesko, Newcastle, Man United just makes that Gyökeres deal look better and better by the day, doesn't it? Because how many times have we been in that position where we've got roped into a bidding war and agents demanding this and that and players saying, oh, and we've been played off against someone else, and it all just becomes very ugly, doesn't it? So I think that's where Berta showed his experience, showed his nous, showed his know-how, and it's just gone, no, you're good, thanks very much, and gone, move to Gyökeres, we'll get that done, he wants to play for us, bang.
And
And it's
he made everything happen to get us there.
exactly.
If we look at what he done, his agent cut his fee. I'm sure his agent will get a cut later on, but it's very unheard of. He slashed part of his payoff to get there. He dumped his girlfriend as well, quite unceremoniously, to make the move happen. I mean, this is a guy who wanted to come to Arsenal. He was not going to let anyone stop him,
And
was he?
this is what we want, yeah. This is what, as fans, we want people and players who want to play for Arsenal. Sesko,
And also to unseat, to provide competition for the places. One of the things we've heard, Joe, sorry to interrupt you, was that Sesko was unsure about unseating Havertz. That's kind of a weak mentality, isn't it? A little bit, to
yeah,
me.
this is what my next point was going to be, that Sesko's obviously didn't come sort of in January because he's worried that he wouldn't get past Havertz, which obviously shows a real kind of lack of confidence in your own ability, I think, if you don't think that you could be a better centre forward than Kai Havertz. And also, it struck me that, obviously, we don't know if it's true or not, but apparently he wanted a release clause in the contract.
Yeah, they still want a release clause in the contract
which
right
again
now.
shows to me that you want to treat Arsenal as a stepping stone club. And sorry, mate, we're Arsenal Football Club. We're not a stepping stone.
Exactly.
You're coming to Arsenal. You're playing for one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Sesko, he could turn out to be an absolutely fantastic player. Could turn out to be the 80 million pounds, euros, whatever it is cheap for him, and he could be the next best thing in the world. But for the amount of things we had to do this summer, for the lack of headache that Gyökeres has caused and that deal getting done, I think Spurs has played an absolute blinder in getting a proper centre forward for 60 million euros, whatever it is. Because that Newcastle Man United thing sounds like it's all going to get very messy. And to be fair to the agent and Leipzig, they've played an absolute blinder and they're going to get hefty, hefty rewards for what they want. Because let's be honest, Newcastle have got money to burn. Everyone in the world knows how much they've got to burn. And if Newcastle sell Alexander Isak, everyone knows they've got at least 120 million, whatever it'll go for. And Man United are just the stupidest club in the world. So they'll spend an absolutely obscene amount of money and just sack their entire staff to make it happen. So
where do you think he ends up then, Joe? Put your money on it. Where's he going to go?
Oh God, I think so. I do think that Isak is eventually going to go to Liverpool. So I think that Sesko will eventually end up at Newcastle, especially as Callum Wilson's just gone to West Ham as well.
West Ham, yeah, he went on a free.
So
I think
anyone with a brain at the moment doesn't go to Man United.
Well, this is going to come to my point now. I unfortunately think he will end up at Man United because there's a couple of facts. The reason is stupid and stupid. Stupid agent, stupid player, because you're talking about stupidity on all levels. You literally turned down one of the biggest clubs in the world, a champions, someone who's consistently at the top of the Premier League in terms of challenging, and was at Champions League semi-finalists, one of the biggest clubs in the world. And you said, well, we're not going to rock the boat. We're not going to do anything to make this happen. That's just honestly, if you want development, then you're going the wrong way about it. Then you have the wages, etc., which are excessive, if you call it that, and the fee. Man United have a history of being stupid at the stupidest times, and this is no different. You're paying Brian Mbeumo, who, no offense, very good player, 300K a week.
Is that what he's on?
He's on 300K a week. What
Jeez.
is the deal? Why? There is no need. 70 million. Do you remember? He went to 70 million as well because they could,
I didn't
Brentford.
realise he was on that much a week. Jesus.
He had 1 year left with an option left as well. But even then, that's mad. 70 million.
That's a mad amount of money. But this is what Leipzig want, isn't it? They think they've probably got. I mean, other than maybe Chelsea, is there 2 other clubs that you'd want battling out for your player? You've got one
because they're the ones with money.
Saudi-backed millions and potentially going to very openly have 150 million in the bank soon, and then you've got Man United who just will spend, as you've just proven with Brian, will spend an obscene amount of money that they don't have, just because why not? So I mean,
but again, Man United again, stupid as stupid does. Why target Ollie Watkins? To me, is a much better fit for Man United and Newcastle. Actually, I think because he's Premier League proven and he's a cheaper option. But I don't get why Sesko is the first choice. I get it from an Arsenal perspective in that he kind of fits the system better. If I look at Newcastle are very much a transition team. So are Man United, and I don't get why Ollie Watkins is getting such a hard shrift from these guys. I know he's on the wrong side of being a striker. He's 30 years. He's coming towards 30 years old. But to me, it would be the cheaper and better option. What would you think, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I would say is that obviously Sesko being younger, and he's rightly or wrongly, is more exciting, isn't it? Sesko is more exciting than Ollie Watkins, just because you're signing a player from a different league. He's really tall, really fast.
He's really tall, really fast. I love it.
As a fan, you can get excited about those things, can't you? Whereas if you say we're getting Ollie Watkins, you go, oh yeah, he's a good player, but everyone's seen Ollie Watkins. You kind of know what he's about.
Yeah.
So I think it's just one of those. As fans, we love shiny toys that we've not seen before. Like if you was offered the option of, we're going to sign sort of some young Brazilian who's tearing up Santos or something, or you can have a youth player from Southampton. You're choosing the Brazilian every time, aren't you? It's just one of those things as fans as we do.
We like it shiny, don't we? The other one that you touched upon was Alexander Isak's move, which is getting a bit distasteful at the moment. He is back in training with Newcastle, but he
very strong Peter Odemwingie vibes.
I hasn't got there yet. He may do. He may pull up at the training ground.
Oh, he's got the hallmarks of an Odemwingie.
But so the current timeline is that Isak has said, "I want to explore a move which means I want to transfer." He just doesn't put a transfer request in. Liverpool have made their move and offered 110 million, 100 million in fixed and 10 million add-ons. And Newcastle have rightly said no, because I don't think he's worth 150 to me. He's got 3 years on his contract, one of the best strikers in the world.
Got no need to sell him, have they?
No, exactly. But he's putting up a very big stink, and obviously there's only so long that you can have this kind of destabilizing effect. He wants a big contract, fair enough. He's one of the biggest players in the world, and I agree with that. How do you view the way he's approached this? And obviously the move to Liverpool. Does this make Liverpool title favourites straight off the bat if he goes to Liverpool?
100%.
I think so too. I think it's undeniable.
Like that is
Isak Wirtz, Salah.
Unreal, mate. That is firepower on another level. That is.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, isn't it?
It is scary. But
do you think he ends up there? Do you think he ends up there?
I think he does. Yeah, I think the amount of stink that he's kicked up, I think if you used to keep him, I think that then causes major problems in the Newcastle dressing room.
Could they do what we did? Could they do what we did with Zubimendi and then just say, stay for another year? And obviously Berta starts working in the background. I mean, it may not happen.
Potentially, because if we're looking to get rid of Jesus, there's going to be another centre-forward spot opening up. So don't rule it out. But yeah, I do think he'll end up at Liverpool.
How much for? What figure do you think he'll end up for eventually? Do they get the full 150 off him? Or
I don't think they'll get 150. I think it might go 125.
That seems a bit cheap for him, doesn't it?
Yes, but the only thing I would say is Newcastle are in a bit of a position where he's made it abundantly clear he does not want to be there anymore. So that kind of weakens Newcastle's position slightly, just in respect of having that kind of player around who's obviously done what he's done. I mean, I can't imagine sort of people like a Kieran Trippier, for example, even Bruno Guimaraes, like players like that kind of ilk. I can't see them being happy with how he's gone about it. And I think Newcastle probably, yes, they could say, oh, we're going to keep him. We'll put him in reserves if we have to. It's not a problem. But the reality is 9 times out of 10, players, when they do this sort of thing, get their way. And it might come last minute in the transfer window. It might drag on for the rest of the month. But I do think eventually he ends up at Liverpool just because it's the best result for everyone. And I'm not being funny. If you're Newcastle, I know Isak is just a sensational finisher. But with that money, you could almost do what Liverpool done when they sold Coutinho and reinvest that and get 2 or 3 really top players. Because there is still a question over whether Isak can operate at 3 games a week, because Newcastle last year obviously weren't in Champions League. It was the year before, wasn't it? Or did they go out the early stages last?
No, they went out. They weren't in Europe last year at all.
No, so they went out early stages the year before, didn't they? And I think Alexander Isak's injury record
wasn't great that year.
Quite good, but that year when they were having the Champions League and 3 games a week, he was struggling. So it'd be interesting to see if physically he could cope with the 3 games at a top club, at a Liverpool, who are always in the Champions League. But then again, with Liverpool, they've got Hugo Ekitike, they've got options there. So
that's mental that they bought Ekitike, and we thought that was it. That's their striker, and they're looking at Isak. It's
Darwin Núñez has been linked with Saudi now, hasn't he? Which just so
This is really interesting. I know this is going off piste, etc. Do you know who the biggest transfer is in Saudi's history right now? Who's going to be the biggest? It was going to be Neymar at 70 odd million pounds. And they're looking at Darwin Núñez for 77 million. Now, does that not seem like it's got the whiff of something just
Ekitike wasn't 77 million pounds by any chance, was he?
Honestly, the whiff of this is just smelling so badly in terms of that, you know, I'm not going to...
More and more questionable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like one big rotation, isn't it, between the PIF clubs? But okay, we'll move on because there's too much to discuss on the muddy waters of the transfer market, and we're going to look at our transfer market because we do everything very plainly, of course.
Vanilla FC.
Yes. So Joe, we are coming. Obviously we're in August, and we've got a couple of weeks left before season starts, and then obviously the transfer window closes. We have been linked with a couple of players. Most notably, Eberechi Eze is the one that apparently is on the books. He had a release clause of 68 million. That has now expired. So, again, what that does for any dealings is questionable. So we'll put that to you in a second. And then obviously we were linked recently with Jeremy Jacquet, a right-sided centre-back from Stade Rennais. That one seems to have gone by the wayside. I'm actually kind of glad of it. I think this is one for the future. But the Eze move, Joe, this one I am 50-50 on. I mean, where do you think this is going to go with Eze? Does he join Arsenal?
I think he does. Again, just because of the noise. There's been a lot of noise about this for a long time now. And in general, there's no smoke without fire when it comes to transfers. Something's going on in the background. And as Arsenal fans, we absolutely love just that little kind of, those little hints that get dropped. And I don't know if you saw what Saka posted.
Yeah, Saka it's got a little picture at the bottom. Saks, what are you doing to us?
Promotion with Eberechi Eze sitting there in a frame. And yeah,
can you imagine? Do you remember the Heron Mkhitaryan? Do you remember the Mkhitaryan one? Do you remember the Mkhitaryan one? And then he said, "You're going to come out here," and then then they did it with Pierre.
Mate, it's written. It's little things like that. They get me excited. And as football fans, if we didn't get excited about those things, then we're in the wrong game.
Yeah, it's not, look, we love the Zubimendi deal, but that one we knew about well ahead of time, and it was kind of like, well, this is
very boring. Yeah. So I would like him to come, and I hope he does come, because I think, again, he, like we spoke at right at the start, flair player, creative player, doing things off the cuff, I think he does that, and he can shoot from outside the box. He can actually shoot from outside the box, and we don't do that. So
he's different.
yeah,
He's a very different prospect from anything else. You know, like if he
profile
looks
to
at the
what we've
number 10,
got. I think
if he looks
he
at
only makes us less predictable, which is
yeah,
only a good.
and we need more creativity. We need something unpredictable, don't we? Because look, Martin Odegaard, we all know, can be a fantastic player, but we do need something just a little bit different in the 10 just to stop teams from being, thinking we're predictable and just packing out the box. He definitely is a disruptor.
Against lesser teams as well. Like why not
Yeah,
have Eze and Odegaard playing? Imagine that. Imagine,
yeah.
yeah.
Could you
It's
imagine creativity on the
oh,
field? Wow,
I know.
what a
What a concept.
dream! What a dream! I think it will get done. I think it does necessitate someone leaving. Who that is, I don't know yet. I get the feeling Trossard is the one who
Been a bit of
may
noise
go.
around the side, isn't there?
He feels like he's the more saleable one in terms
Yeah.
of his contract is coming to an end soon. He wants to move. He wants to play first team. Look, he's been a good servant, but I don't think he's been anything special, to be honest. I think he had a few clutch moments, but last season I thought he was pretty poor.
I think for the money we paid for him, I
Yeah,
think he's been outstanding. I think he scored plenty of goals, created plenty. I mean, his numbers have been better than Martinelli
yeah.
last year, maybe the year before as well. I'm not sure. You'd have to check that up a bit. But yeah, for the money we paid for him, like I said previously, he was. I don't think we ever bought him with the intention of him being our starting left winger.
Yeah.
Last year, he played far too many minutes. I think he played more games than anyone else last year.
Yeah, he did really well last season, actually, in terms of numbers.
I think, in terms of numbers, brilliant. And it's funny, isn't it? Because even though his numbers are better than Martinelli, everyone wants Trossard gone rather than Martinelli.
I think it's just the age as well, isn't it?
Yes, it's the age. We're still hoping that Martinelli explodes because that 22, 23 season he had, he was amazing. So if we can get that Martinelli back, then you have him in the side over Trossard every day of the week.
Absolutely.
But Trossard, he came good in big moments, in big games. He scored some big goals for us. So yeah, he was for the 27 million. Was it we got him for?
Yeah,
yeah.
So interestingly, so look, we do the breaking news here on Red
here we go. We've got some more.
David Ornstein, not bomber, but light bomber, just a light one, light sprinkling.
Like me,
Stuttgart are pursuing a deal for Fabio Vieira, 25-year-old. He's 25. Whoa, I didn't think he was that old. 25-year-old spent last season on loan from Porto, but but the Stuttgart approach relates to a permanent move. I like me likey.
Strike me as the sort of club that have a lot of money, though. Yeah.
No, but me likey permanent deals. Me likey lots.
Yeah. No, if we, I think we
need to get money. That's Eze money, as it's just said in my group chat. That's Eze.
Yeah, you put it into the Eze deal, don't you? So
yeah. Look,
it's a shame
Fabio Vieira. I don't think. Yeah, but it is what it is. But look, I think we need to get Eze. I just think the deal is there. I think it might happen very late in the window. I also think he does need to push a little bit from his side because he's had a good run at Palace. But if you look at the facts, he's 27. Will he realistically get to another big club? And Tottenham are not a big club. Do not put them in that same bracket as us. There's no way they are near enough to us. But he needs to. If he wants to go to a big club, this is it, and to come home as well.
Last chance saloon.
He's made no secret.
He wants to go to a big club.
He's made no secret about he wants Arsenal. That's where he wants to be.
Yeah.
But this is the last chance, isn't it? Really, realistically, we're not going to come back in for him again.
I think once he reaches 28, I think he then, clubs like you still get looked at by sort of bigger clubs, but those bigger clubs will be clubs like your Newcastles, your Tottenhams, places like that. And as you get another year older, you then go to the next rundown of your next sort of step up clubs. And yeah, so
this is it now, isn't it? This is it. This is the make or break. Yep. Okay, we're going to just quickly wrap up now. Talk about the two games coming this week. So we've got Athletic Bilbao and we've got Villarreal. What are you looking for in these games, Joseph? I mean, again, at the Emirates, you'd hope they're not like physical affairs, would you?
I'm hoping for some goals, yeah, really. That's what I'd like to see. I mean, a penalty.
Not from the opposition, really.
No, obviously, no. I would like to see. I want to see Gyokeres given good minutes. I want to see Madueke given good minutes, and I want to see now I think it's important that we start seeing what we're going to be looking like for the opening
Yeah,
game.
Zubamendi and Rice. I want Zubamendi Rice to start together.
I think what I would want to see is in the next 2 games is maybe start the team that you plan on starting against United, or at least have the players who you've got a rough idea of starting 11. Get them out there, get them sort of get the cohesion going, get everyone used to playing with each other again, get those sort of relationship built, and let's start getting ready for the start of the season, because we have to start quick.
We've got too much. Our fixtures are mad.
Yeah, the fixture fairies weren't kind to us. So
are they ever kind to us?
Well, this is it. It's a disgracia, isn't it? But yeah, I think we need to start quickly. So we need to make sure that we are primed and ready to go for that game. Because what I don't want is lots of changes. And sort of obviously in the games gone, we've seen on the hour mark sort of 5-6 changes. 10 minutes later, another 4 or 5 changes. I don't want that now. I want to see an 11 out there for about an hour, and then bring in players who maybe you're sort of, if you're not sure between a Trossard and a Martinelli, for example, one plays one of the games, the other plays the other. But Declan Rice, you want to see him play an hour in both. You want to see Saliba play an hour in both. Havertz and Gyokeres could maybe do 45 each, something like that.
I want Gyokeres to start a bit more, because I need to see what he's going to do, what he's going to change, because he's had more time with the team.
I wonder whether Gyokeres starts on the... I wouldn't be surprised if Gyokeres is on the bench for Old Trafford, in which case you want Havertz to be fit and ready to go, because don't forget he has been...
I don't know. Havertz in pre-season struck me as a player who knows that he's not going to be first choice. He just hasn't been as bothered, has he? What's giving you that? I mean, has he done it? Did he do anything much? Has he done anything really in pre-season? I don't think he has.
I mean, against Newcastle, do we give him an assist or 2 for them? It did well for the Marino goal. Nice bit of link-up play for that.
Did well for the Marino goal. And look, he will be a big part of the season, but is he the he knows he's not. Yeah, he's very Havertz, and he looks bigger, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's better. I still think Gyokeres.
Old Trafford out of the 2.
I think Gyokeres will start. I think he starts. I think from what the noises are, I think he'll start the Bilbao game as well. I think that's the one. Is it Bilbao first, or is it Villarreal first?
I think it might be Villarreal first.
Yes, with Thomas Partey coming back.
Well, he's in
one already.
London for Matters anyway, isn't he? So,
yes, Matters.
Yes,
Matters. So it's Villarreal first. I expect him to start Villarreal, because I think that game is suited to bed him in.
If Gyokeres starts both the games, then he starts at Old Trafford, doesn't he? So it'll be interesting, actually.
If he starts and scores as well, and I mean, if he starts and scores, Joe, I think he'll be a shoo-in, because it's something different, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you could very easily excite this fan base by starting Gyokeres and him scoring a couple of goals, or a goal.
Can you imagine? Games. Can you imagine the celebration?
This fan base, we've wanted the striker for so long. If our striker scores 2 in 2, we'll be on the moon. So, yeah, I want to see that. I want to see some Gyokeres goals. I want to see Madueke used and see where he's deployed.
I want some more. I want it more. I want more attack. I want just
a bit more speed in the build-up. Yeah, more direct,
dynamic, quicker transition. Yeah. I want it all. Why can't we have it all, Joe? Why can't we have everything? I don't think
we're asking for too much, We're just asking for loads of goals, not conceding any, winning all our games, everyone staying fit. I don't think that's too much to ask for.
Not much to ask. I don't think it. No, I think it's a very reasonable list. Arteta, come on, make it happen. We're going to wrap it up there, because Mikel Arteta's got a lot to do, and obviously we can't. We can only do so much. We've only got an hour or so. Joe, thank you very much as always. We're going to see you obviously on the next one. We're hopefully going to get a guest for the next one. Hopefully after the season starts, and we're going to be discussing Premier League goals. Maybe.
That'd be exciting. And I might have actually
that will be exciting. No, Joe, you don't understand how this parenting thing works, do you? It doesn't work like that anymore. You don't sleep now until... Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you do like the content that we're putting out there, please do subscribe to us on all the good audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube. We would really appreciate it. Have a look at our TikTok. We're trying to upload the content, trying to get there. I also do want to give a big shout out to our colleague F Carnage, who has just passed 25,000 subscribers for Latte Firm. So congratulations, Faisal. Very impressive performance. Hopefully we will get there and join you there. But again, keep subscribing, keep listening. You're going to hear us next time on the next Red Lines Half Spaces. Bye for now.